useful stuff. Oh god.
So it turns out a little tougher than I had originally expected. To explain what's going on here, a little over a month ago, I decided to start doing 1 HP hardcore runs in For the Worthy Master Mode. Now what that means is that I can't, for any reason, at any point in time throughout the entire game, ever take damage or else I just die. Now the reason I started doing this is because I just finished doing all the blindfolded no-hit stuff, and I figured that, well, if I do it when I couldn't see, then I should be able to do it when I can see as well. But the problem there is that I only did the bosses blindfolded, and the dangerous part of the game is not the bosses. It's the enemies, the environment, the traps, the thorns, the fall damage. It's genuinely unfair at times, and I do mean that. Truly, it's unfair. Here are 3 examples. Firstly, this is just a blatant lie. Anyone who tells you that teleportation potions cannot put you in a location where you can take damage is just wrong. They haven't used enough teleportation potions for it to happen. This, right here, isn't remotely true. They can send you directly into a pool of lava, or on top of Hellstone, or both. That's a fun way to die. Secondly, trees are able to conceal thorns in the Crimson and Corruption such that they are pretty much completely invisible to the naked eye. Do you see danger? Since I'm pointing it out, you might notice the faint sparkling behind that tree. I didn't see it when it was happening, and I died, and this was a really good attempt, too. And lastly, this one's an actual boss. The Brain of Cthulhu can just teleport directly on top of you in its first phase. There's no way to control or predict it. If you get unlucky, you just die, and there's nothing you can do about it. Like hell that's gonna stop me though. This is in For the Worthy, so I get immediate access to a Demolitionist, and my first priority is getting bombs for an Undertaker and grenades to kill things. Also, for whatever reason, setting my HP to 1 completely breaks my UI. I can't see my health, my mana, my buffs, or my breath meter underwater. And the first problem shows up. The slimes. Slimes are pretty predictable, but not when they're doing that. There's also the fact that they are just everywhere all the time. Slimes on the surface, sure, you just walk up to them. They're not that tough. Slimes in the darkness as you're walking into a cave, those are a little bit more difficult. Black slimes that are almost impossible to spot underground, those are a nightmare. With genocide still being considered a war crime, I was left with only a handful of options. Firstly, I want to constantly shoot and throw glow sticks in front of me so I can see anything that's there. Secondly, I want to get hunter potions as soon as possible so I can see anything lurking in the darkness. Lastly, and this one is the long-term solution, I want to get the royal gel from King Slime to make slimes passive. Okay, so that's how you deal with slimes. There are a lot of other enemies though. Let's stroll up to the desert next. Vultures, thankfully, are pretty easy to avoid. You just need to walk straight up to vultures, don't hesitate, don't back down, confidently walk up to and directly past them. Any hesitation is a sign of weakness, and they attack upon sensing weakness. Just keep walking, and if they corner you, seek shelter immediately. Wooden platforms are the natural predators of vultures, and they will be unable to pass through them and attack. The desert is only part of the journey. The destination is the Swamp of Aeonia, and I do need to make my way through it. Thankfully, the enemies here are completely harmless. With some wooden platforms, a copper short sword, and some quick thinking, you can easily avoid every enemy here. Even in complex situations like this, you can just dance around a little bit with the Chimera. It doesn't do anything to help against the slimes that I can't see, though. Well, that was just terrible luck with enemy spawns. In the Crimson, I can get an Undertaker, get an Arms Dealer, and eventually get a Mini Shark. And the Mini Shark is great because the rapid fire lets you hit enemies and knock them back and stun lock them. The Mini Shark is great for normal enemies, but all that matters is finding a way to kill the Wall of Flesh. I want to get Dune Rider boots for all that extra speed, and that means going to the underground desert. Right. You know, I love reptiles, because reptiles eat worms, and I can vicariously get revenge on these goddamn... on these worms. They're not the nicest of enemies. I really don't prefer them. With Danger Sense potions, you can avoid the cacti and antlion eggs, and I can also get fossil armor while I'm down here. Once I get Dune Riders, I kill King Slime and go straight to hell. My goal is to kill the Wall of Flesh with the Star Cannon. I search the chests just above the underworld, find meteorite bars in them, and make the cannon. And it's Wall of Flesh time. I need to make an arena, a very long one, lined with sand. It's pretty dangerous, and I try to fill the top and bottom with blocks to force the wall into an area I can predict. I don't have this recording anymore due to storage space issues, but this is the best recreation I could muster. It's an intense moment. I've got a sand bridge spanning thousands of blocks. I'm running down it to summon the Wall of Flesh, and an imp teleports directly in front of me and kills me. And at this point, I decide to downshift to expert mode. I'd already done over 60 attempts at this point, and the amount of health everything had just made it exhausting. Being an expert changes things a bit. I feel a lot more comfortable fighting bosses, so I kill the Eye of Cthulhu on a sand bridge for the Dryad and Infinite Sunflowers. I can also get the Star Fury and Fledgling Wings early on, and that makes it pretty easy to farm sharks in the ocean for hunter potions. Due to the normal seeds not having as many chests, there were actually a few times I couldn't find any meteorite bars just above hell. And at that point, I had only 2 options. I could either seek a different weapon, or I could try to kill the Brain of Cthulhu. And I opted to try and kill the Brain of Cthulhu. I'm fucking done. I can't. Oh god, no. No. An important part of playing the game like this is getting potions, particularly Danger Sense and Hunter potions. Danger Sense potions require going to the ice biome, which isn't too dangerous, but Hunter potions require the incredibly tedious process of farming sharks. I also slept for very long periods of time to grow the herbs that I needed. The jungle is an appealing destination this time of year due to the prospect of making a pylon beside the temple and a staff of regrowth for herbs. The problem are the thorns. The thorns are so awful. Hornets are easy enough. They just... Okay, that wasn't a hornet, that was a jungle slime behind me, my point still stands, but just one thorn is all it takes. The Danger Sense potions are absolutely essential to navigating the jungle. Bats can be killed with a copper short sword, so can piranhas, and building a jungle pylon here means that when Hardmode comes, I won't have to explore the Hardmode jungle. The sand bridge up here in the sky serves two purposes for me. The first is as an arena for King Slime in the Eye, and then it's also a place to gather fallen stars for the star cannon. I get everything set up and head back to the underworld. I make another arena, being extremely cautious about teleporting imps. I fish up everything that I can to help me. I line the arena with sunflowers and peace candles, and I summon the wall of flesh. And I didn't make the arena long enough. God, I just needed like 100 more blocks. Okay, I'm doing it again. This is my final attempt, though. I make my way through the Crimson in the jungle, dodging and dancing around everything. Really, once you learn how to avoid enemies, it's fun and not too difficult to pull off as long as you have a mouse. I don't think this would be possible on a controller. There are also a lot of other fun tricks you can pull off, like using cobwebs to negate fall damage. Speaking of fall damage, you'll notice that when I'm going into caves and things, I'll keep moving backwards and not just forwards, and that's because if you're moving fast, the game won't consider you to have touched a surface that you did touch, and this can cause you to take fall damage when you shouldn't. And any amount of fall damage is lethal, so I can't really risk that. I find the meteorite bars that I need, I kill King Slime, I kill the Eye, I make a bunch of NPC houses, and I gather a bunch of stars. And this time, I am sick of the underworld. I ignore any complexity of arena building, blow it all up, and just make a flat bridge. I summon the wall, run the hell away, and slaughter it with my star cannon. Finally, I get to Hardmode, and we'll pause here for a second. Put yourself in this situation. You just killed the wall of flesh. It was very far away from you when it died, so there's no concern about hungries and leeches reaching you. You are currently standing on the ground. What do you do next? If you didn't choose to jump in the air within about half a second, congratulations, you died. What did I do? Well, I remembered this. This is really good. Is he dead? No, he's not dead. That was the guy spawning again. The fact that I got confused because shots kept coming for a couple of seconds after the wall died when I killed it blindfolded. I jumped, and I very narrowly avoided dying. And then I started to panic, because I didn't have a plan for this part. I secure my house from wraiths, and I make a plan to kill the destroyer and get hollowed armor. I go ahead and get the onyx blaster, but I didn't really use it at all. It's a decent weapon, but it's not incredible, and it's not the caliber of weapon that I want used for this. I found some souls of night and hell to make mechanical worms, and I killed the destroyer. I used the magic conch I got from the desert, lined my shots up, and shred them with the star cannon. And then I do it again, and then a third time. There's a little bit of a close call there at the end, but it's fine, and now I've got hollowed armor. And a Mega Shark. It's not a good modifier though. If you didn't realize, I can't get the Goblin because it's impossible to get a Goblin invasion with less than 200 health, so I can't combine accessories or reforge. I keep farming souls in hell, and there were just a couple of close calls. But I get enough souls to kill a few mimics and get a Stormbow. I kill the Brain for the Brain and Skeletron for the Mechanic, and now it's time for the Don't Starve Together crossover boss. I do the same teleporter setup as when I did it blindfolded, and I make quick work of them. Skeletron is my next target, but I'd like Cursed Bullets first, which means either killing corruption enemies, which I don't want to do, or making an artificial corruption and fishing them up from crates. I do the latter and make a teleporter setup for Skeletron. I summon him just before enraging, start the loop, and this is why I'm using hollowed armor, because the laser lagged behind for a second and hit me, but I do this for a few minutes and then he dies. And I don't want to be in the jungle, so I make an entire artificial arena for Plantera and line it with walls to prevent spawns. I sleep and wait for a bulb to spawn, summon her, and I messed up and forgot to set my spawn here, so I have to get another bulb. Okay, well, I fight her again. I use a gravitation potion to sit on the ceiling and avoid the spiky balls. I wanted to wait for hollowed armor to come off cooldown before getting her into phase 2 because I accidentally got clipped by a hook, but I didn't think the Mega Shark would deal damage that fast, and I am perfectly fine because of the Brain of Confusion, and that's why I got her. I recall, go up to a platform she can't reach, pop an Inferno potion to destroy spores, and I kill her with a Stormbow. Okay, well, I should have died there, but it's fine. Golem is next, but I'd rather kill Fishron for a Tsunami. I make an arena, and I try out what I did blindfolded, and it didn't really seem to work that well, though. I think it was bigger when I was doing it blindfolded, and that made a pretty big difference. Duke Fishron is... Oh, I didn't mean to jump. Okay, well, I'm done attempting this for now. If I had practiced the Hardmode bosses more beforehand, I think this would have been completely plausible, but I haven't played the game normally in like 4 or 5 months, so I'm a little rusty on them. It's not unreasonable to do, it just gets exhausting and boring after a while. On a slightly related note, I would like to try live streaming again, this time on YouTube. I'm gonna start with another hardcore For the Worthy run, I think Thursday the 30th at 2 p.m. Eastern. The main thing that put me off live streaming last time was that basically nobody showed up and it was just a less comfortable environment for me to do things in. If things go well, I'll probably stream more, but for now, that's going to be all.